Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to Live Your Yes Life, where we share our channeled thoughts, discussions, and interviews on what it takes to go from dreaming and wishing to actively living your yes life.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Kaela.
And we are the mother-daughter co-founders of Rise Leadership Circle, where we are committed to helping you live your most amazing yes life.
So we are so excited to be here. We're in the middle of a series. We're actually nearing this is actually the end. This is not the middle. This is the end of a series that we have been sharing where we are talking to you about how to get what you want. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast, you're a regular weekly listener and it's time for the next release and here you are and you've been already following along on the last few episodes. Or maybe you found this download of how we package these together to be a limited podcast series and you've been binging them and you're just trucking right along and you are excited for our content today. I want to remind you that this is not, though it's the end of this series, that is not the end. We would love to have you come in and work with us in the yes method, which is our mind, body, and soul approach to being a yes for yourself and the life you truly desire. And you can get information about that by clicking the link below this video somewhere in the show notes. But today we have a really good topic for you.
Okay, so today we're talking about funding your yes life. We're going to talk about money.
Yay. And it's not going to be what you think. Let me just manage expectations. If you are expecting that we hand you a list of how to, what accounts to put money in, that's not what this is going to be, but it's going to be more powerful than that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the willingness to choose, right? The willingness to choose your dream, to choose your yes. That's what actually opens up the money flow. Before we can have money flowing in, we have to open the door. And so your willingness to choose will determine your willingness to receive. They actually go hand in hand. So we're going to have a fun conversation today. And, I think that this is one of the things, we talked about a few in the first episode, but one of the things that Kaela and I hear when people are like, yes, but, yes, I have a dream and yes, I want to pursue it, but money, I can remember a time when I was lit up, soul on fire for pursuing my dream and my bank account was a hard no. It was nope, never, not at all, forget about it. And so I've walked, if this is you, I have been there and I've been there more times than once of just realizing that what? My bank account is not the boss. It can't be what determines how far I go in life. I have the power within me. And if I want to change it, I've got to be the one to change. So Kaela, I want to hear from you in this episode because I feel like this is something that you've mastered really well, probably from watching all the things early in life that I didn't master. And had to come around to. And I wish we had time, you guys. I would love to tell you the story about just my first business and my relationship to money and how disconnected I was. I didn't feel worthy. We hit $1 million in our second year. I felt unworthy of it. You know what I mean? I didn't see myself as a millionaire. I didn't see myself as someone who's worthy of having that kind of money. I didn't see it. And so when our level of belief doesn't rise, what happens, right? We look the other way. We outsource. We don't want to look at our accounts and it creates a snowball effect. And so it wasn't until we found ourselves in a situation where I was like, oh, you know what? I've got to be the one. This is up to me. I'm the owner of this business, that I had to actually get really serious about money. So this is not fully what we're talking about today, but I want to just give you a little bit of background to our story with this. That there was a point in time where I was like, I've got to know what I don't know. I've got to fix my relationship first and foremost with myself. And this is where it started. It started with me choosing it and saying, you know what? Why not me? Why am I not worthy of receiving? Why am I not feeling worthy of abundance? And so it started there. And then I went on to hire the support that I needed to have. I went on to get the education that I needed to have to understand it. But we don't even take those steps when we're in a space of feeling like we can't have it or feeling unworthy. So we may touch on that a little bit more today, but that was a background. And I think, one of the gifts was Kaela getting to watch that whole process unfold and then getting to watch the up level happen on the other side of it too. So Kaela, let's just jump in there. I would love to talk about how you see money and what your journey has been like.
I mean, certainly, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because one, money is not taboo. I love talking about money, and I love talking about money no matter what spot in life somebody is in. So as Lisa just shared, and if you didn't know by now in this series, Lisa's my mom. So I have been on this journey with her. That absolutely informed a lot of what I knew and learned about and saw with money because it was what I was watching. And that's really where my experience with money started, is when I was in my early 20s. The story that I told myself is I am not good with money. I'm not responsible with money. Money doesn't like me. I don't really like money. I'm not really interested in it. I just need to have enough to live. And I was really, really disempowered by that. And I always want to name that because I've been told this a number of times, is that people now watch me on social media or they get to see the life that I'm living, which includes a lot of abundance and a lot of financial abundance. And they see the trips that I'm on and the places that I'm going and what I'm shopping and what I'm eating and what I'm doing. And it's like, oh, okay, that requires a lot of money. And so I always like to name that my story started with me learning, how far can I stretch a $20 bill? Can I both put gas in my car to make it to dinner with my friends and have enough money for dinner with my friends? And so if that's where you are, that's super cool too. And I just believe that our relationship with money, not the money that we have, but our relationship with money is really the place that has all the juice, because the amount of money that we have or doesn't have doesn't mean anything about us. Whatever we have or don't have in our bank account does not mean anything about us. But the relationship that we're willing to have with ourselves and therefore with money does. And that's really the place where we can open up to so much. So let's look at how whatever the thing that we've decided we want to be a yes for, and I would love for you to check in for yourself right now. What is the dream that you are really a yes for right now? Is it have something to do with opening or expanding your business? Does it have something to do with a relationship? Are you a yes for revolutionizing your health? Is there a big vacation that you have been wanting to go on? Look at what the yes is. And then let's look at what would it cost to fund that? So whatever the dream that you're wanting, what would it cost to fund that? And Lisa already bottom lined this for us at the start. It's funding our yes life. The whole life that we want to be a yes for does not have to do with what's in our bank account. And that is important because it is so freeing. I actually just posted on Facebook before this. What I posted is freedom starts before it's financed. Okay, so funding our yes life is not determined by our bank account. It is determined by our willingness to choose to have our yes life. And it's so important that we get that, because for a lot of us and a lot of time, the money will not be there first. The money is not going to magically just be sitting in our bank account. Sometimes it will be. As you do this work, it can grow that sometimes you're like, oh, I want that thing, and the money is right there. That can certainly happen. That absolutely can be our experience. But when we're just getting started on this journey, it might not be the case. So it's not determined by our bank account. It's determined by our willingness to choose it. And here's why else this is so powerful, is because when we get willing to choose to have a yes life and to choose to open up to money flow, then we can choose it forever and ever and ever. And so I can tell you so many examples of times when Lisa and I at first did not have the money in our bank account, and we got to choose our yes life and then go and create the money. And then other times when, well, the money actually is there and it still is a scary investment. It still is a stretchy for us. It still is like, okay, yeah, we can literally afford it. Like we actually do have access to the money, but there still is some feelings. And so being able to build that muscle of getting that it's about the willingness, not the money itself, really opens up to so much.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, and we're always living this, right? Because there's always a new dream that we're investing in, or there's always another level. And so when we continue to up level this, understanding the nuances of getting this practice, right? Of like the willingness comes first, the decision comes first. Now, we're not saying go get into like a whole bunch of debt and overspend and just, max out your credit cards. you might choose to do that. Like we personally
We're not going to shame you or guilt you for anything.
Exactly. Like you can choose to do whatever you choose to. You can leverage money in whatever way that you want to leverage it. I think that there's a lot of great ways to do it. But what we're not saying is like, just go get into debt for everything. What we really want to land for you is the decision starts first, because the way forward appears once we're in the decision. But we can't find the way when we're committed to the belief that like, well, I can't because it's not in my bank account, because all that you're creating is an experience of I can't.
This is so fun for me. I literally, just before we started recording our podcast today, was in a message conversation with somebody, and they were like, okay, I want to hire y'all. I'm committed to it. I'm doing it. The money is a little like, oh, I'm going to make an investment. So I'm just sitting with that. And she came back and she was like, you're not going to believe this. I just got a massive raise, like a massive raise. I think it's like 10 times the investment to work with us. And I was like, oh, I believe it. Let me tell you how much I believe that.
It's so good. We get so many stories like that. It's like you make the decision. I mean, we had someone tell us too, like she made a decision to come to one of our events. And she was like, I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I just knew I was a soul yes. So I said yes. And like literally within days, she received this unexpected check for like a crazy amount of money that she had no idea was coming. And so it's just so fun when that happens, right? It's like it can come to us in expected and unexpected ways. We block it when we're in a space of like, I can't, nope, not possible. The universe is like, okay, here's a mirror. Here's more of can't, nope, not possible, right? So we have to be open to any possibility.
I have countless stories of this. We just had a client tell us she started working with us about 6 months ago. And she said, the day that I invested $1,000 a peer. I can think of another story of a client we were renewing. And she was like, okay, I know that I'm doing this. I know that I'm renewing. And she said to me, but this time I would really love to pay in full. I would rather not make monthly payments. I would just love to pay it in full. She's like, so I'm committing and I'm gonna just open up to how. She called me 30 minutes later and she was like, Kaela, one of my clients just called me and asked if he could pay me in full, and it's the exact same amount. So I have the money. Where do I send it? In 30 minutes, y'all, that was a $16,000 investment for that package. In 30 minutes, she just created it. I mean, just one more, just because it's fun to share these. I remember when I was first starting, I had a client tell me, okay, this feels so stretchy. Like I'm working my 9 to 5. I'm just getting started. I really want to invest in, we were working on her health. She's like, I really want to look at my health. I'm going to commit. I don't know how. I might have to ask my parents to support me. I'm just not sure. And again, that day, she's like, oh, someone just asked me if I could dog sit for them. And there the money is. So it's just so fun. And if already you're thinking like, oh, it's so nice for them, but it couldn't be me. You're sabotaging it. Because as soon as we think, but it wouldn't be me, but it couldn't happen for me, we're just closing the door on it.
Yeah, the way forward cannot appear until we are open to the possibility.
Yeah.
So there has to be at least a part of you, right, that is willing. And if you can find that little bit of willingness, go all the way and take full belief. I mean, even the story, Kaela and I of starting this business, like there was never a time that we sat in doubt or we didn't question it. It was just like, okay, we're doing this thing together. Like, let's go. Let's hire the attorney and let's get all the things in place. And people have often asked us, like, how did you guys grow so fast? And I will always say we just believed. We didn't know how. We just believed and we just kept taking the next right step.
For sure. So let's talk about the willingness a little bit, because there is something specific about willingness, which is that we can't just be willing to some of the things. We can't just be willing for some of the possibilities, which is another place that I see people get stopped. And what that looks like is, well, I'm willing to choose this if the money's in my bank account. That's not how it works. How it works is I am willing to be a yes for my life. I am willing to be a yes for my desires. I'm willing to be a yes for myself. And I'm willing to open up myself to the resources that can allow this to happen for me. I'm willing to open up myself for the resources that can allow this to happen for me. And then, while we can have a preference, we must not be choosy. Okay, well, we can have a preference of what the resource is. We can focus our energy and we can manifest our preferred and our favorite way for the money to come in. We must not be choosy, because the money will always come the path of most ease. Money always travels the path of most ease. And so if we're putting a lot of energy on like the money needs to come from this path, from this avenue, from this resource, and money starts to feel that our gripping energy or attachment, it's going to find a different route. It's going to find a different way to flow for us. So what we get to do is really open ourselves up to, I am willing for money to come from any avenue. And that sometimes looks like a willingness to take out a loan, or a willingness to put it on a credit card. Or I just had a client tell me, you know what? I'm willing to take money out of my savings to pay off a credit card and then make a commitment to save higher, to not only replenish my savings account, but go above and beyond that. So now her willingness to pull out of her savings account, what may happen is that she gets a raise. What may happen is that she gets a refund from something somewhere else. It might not actually be that that's what she needs to do, but the fact that she's willing to open up to any opportunity just opens the floodgates, really. And so that's a place for you to look is, are you willing to create access to money in any of the ways that it appears? And if the money starts coming from one way, are you willing to pivot to have it come to a different way if that's the way that it's showing up?
Yeah, this is so good. It's such an important conversation. I just want to speak into one thing that I touched on earlier, and that's debt. Because if you're someone who has debt and you have a lot of judgment about that debt, that can really be a block to receiving money flow. I think it's important, there's a lot of, again, maybe programming or conditioning to hold this belief that if you have, a certain type of debt, that debt is bad, where maybe other types of debt you might have would be considered good debt, or it's not so bad. And so whenever we're holding a judgment, like people will sometimes say to me like, oh, I have all this debt and I just feel like I'm never going to get out from under it. And I should have never, done whatever I did. It doesn't matter. I usually say, listen, your debt was a choice. Like you made a choice to invest in something, whatever that may be for you. And you've made a choice that you're going to pay that back and you're going to do it over a certain amount of time. And that's the facts. It's not right, wrong, good, bad. It just is, right? It just is. And so when we take the judgment out of it and it's just like, oh, I have debt. I made some choices. I borrowed some money. I made a decision that over time I was going to, pay it back this way, in this way. And we just focus on the facts. It allows us to open back up to a different way forward.
Let's talk about the willingness going both ways for a second, because you might have listened to what we just said and you're like, oh yeah, I would be willing to take money out of a savings account and then have it come in a bonus. Like that would feel so good to me. I would be willing to do that, which is great. Just remember that if we're going to be willing, then we got to be willing. And that willingness also might look like, I am willing to create this with adding on a new revenue stream. And then how it might go is that you also get to take from your savings account, or you also get to put some on a credit card, because that's just the way that money is flowing. So we don't know how it's going to happen. The money will flow with the path of most ease. And willingness might also look like being willing to ask somebody that owes you money to pay up, in a loving, firm way of, hey, I know that I lent you this money and now I'm going to ask that you honor your commitment to pay me back. That it can take a lot of courage to be willing to have that conversation. I want to remind you that money comes where decision has already been. So if we have not yet decided, the money will not reveal itself. It knows that there's no reason to. Money is not going to reveal itself anywhere where there's no reason to. But once we have made a decision and said, this is what I'm choosing, this is the result that I'm committed to, this is what I'll be a yes for me, then money kind of is like, sound the alarms, guys, we got to get ready to work, here we go. And it can rally itself to show up for you again with the path of most ease. So if you are wanting to fund a dream, decide that you will have it. If you are wanting to fund your yes life, make a decision. I like to call it a big D decision, like a capital D decision, that you are a yes for it. And then stay open and active to call the money in so that it can fund it.
So good. Yes, just take the one next right step. So my question for you as we're wrapping up this series is, what is your yes life, right? The yes life that maybe you've brought into the top of your mind as you've been listening to this series. You're starting to see your dream life in front of you and you're tuning in. What's required, right? What is required in order to fund it? Do you need to fund it with actual money? Do you need to fund that dream with time? What is it for you that is the next step in order for you to fund that dream, be a yes for yourself? So if you guys have loved this series and you want to go deeper and you really want to bring your dream to life, you want to live your yes life, we've been dropping seeds all along about joining us in the yes method. And this is a mind, body, soul approach to being a yes for yourself and the life that you truly desire. Now, Kaela, what does it mean when we say it's a mind, body, soul approach to being a yes for yourself?
That's really where we braid together, not just, okay, here's the logistics of how to do it, but how we get our whole self on board. And so we braid together our mental, physical, emotional well-being, and all the parts of us to see this is how I bring my full self to the table to have a yes life. So it's not just like, oh yay, my soul feels really good about this, but my brain is really in resistance. We can bring our whole selves to the party. And you're going to find that really is what creates the most fulfillment for you.
It really is. And it's that willingness to actually do what's required to change, because following your yes life will require change on some level. And, our message is things can happen fast. And, when you start to follow what's true and you get on that highest path, you can see things like open up, you can see cash appear instantly. And at the same time, real change requires real commitment over time. So we're not here to say this is like, be an overnight success and join this. That message just kind of frustrates me, and that turns us off a little bit. And that, no, we don't want to just help you have a quick win, an overnight success. We want to help you have the true meaning of what it is to live a yes life as you go forward from here and your experiences start to become so incredible and you start to become magnetic. And we want to walk you through the change that's required, because it is a bit of work, right? It's a bit of work to become all that we're meant to be. So I hope you'll join us. You can click the link below this video. You'll either join a waitlist or you will get to hop on in. We hope we'll see you inside. And as always, reach out. Let us know how you like the series.
Thank you so much, y'all. You probably heard my dog barking throughout this whole thing. We're keeping it real. He prefers to bark when I am recording videos. So just thanks for rolling with us, because it's real life, y'all. Bye, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.